All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. We have small pullbacks today so far. Bitcoin back down to 92,000. We got the Nasdaq. Good morning. We the Nasdaq at 25,773s. We got silver back at 78.50s. What's up, VA? What's up, Fox? Yeah. So today we got ADP employment numbers coming out at 8:15 Eastern Standard Time for the month. They are expected today. We got a lot of stuff coming out today. Honestly, we got Jolts coming out at 10 a.m. We have ADP data coming out in about an hour and 58 minutes. Expected at about 49 to 50,000. We'll put this data up on screen. We'll also put a timer up for that release. Hold on. Yeah, we got the data coming out in about what 58 minutes. Expected at about 50,000 this morning. I'm gonna put the timer up right now. It's coming out at 8:15 Eastern Standard Time, and then we have Jolts report at 10 a.m. Again, you can kind of see silver's dipping down a little bit. The story kind of the day is a little bit slowdown after the big moves up. Dow futures are up about 0.05 to 0.1% after Dow closed over 49,000 for the first time yesterday. Here's the Dow, which is /YM in futures. If you want to take a look at it, we did close over 49,000 at 49.8 yesterday. We kind of stalling a little bit after running up the last few days. Yesterday, we had a little bit softer services data. We'll see if we end up cutting rates. Today, again, we got ADP payrolls, 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. We have ISM services at 10 a.m. We have Jolts job report also at 10 a.m., as well as factory orders that drop live at 10 a.m. We did have Fed Governor Moran speak yesterday. He thinks that we need well over 100 basis points of cuts this year. He said policy is restrictive. Inflation is near 2%, which is helping keep rate cut bulls in control, even though the officials sound more cautious. Again, Bitcoin pulled back a little bit. We're at 92,000 this morning for Bitcoin, almost exactly at 92,000. But yeah, Bitcoin dipping down to 92, 93K after the recent push towards 94, 95 yesterday. Again, crypto tone is a little bit more risk off than it was yesterday. We have some small pairs moving. Gold and silver, again, silver you can see just broke under 78.50, less than a minute ago at 78.50. Here's 78.5 right here. So we are under 78.5. I'm just watching 78 really and 79. Whole dollar numbers for silver is easy to watch. We also had an update on Netflix this morning. So Netflix is apparently, or Warner Bros. Discovery says that the board deems the Paramount Skydance offer inadequate due to insufficient value and risks of not getting approved, essentially is what they said this morning. Yeah. So we had that this morning. If you look at like Paramount Skydance, they're going to be down a little bit, really. Yeah, they're down. They dropped yesterday. They're at 12.50 this morning. Netflix up a little bit today. I did buy the dip in Netflix yesterday. So I did buy the dip. It is up a little bit today. That's good. We'll see if that holds. What's up, Steve, Fox, Tech, Pawn, Pack, Faye, BA, E, Halo, Brian. What's up, guys? Good morning. Yeah, QQQ slightly red. It closed at 623. It's at 622s if you look at the Q. You look at the SPY. And SPY's kind of the same thing. Slightly red. But SPY is more close to flat on the day. SPY's at about 691.70s. Previous closing price is 691.80s. So SPY is a little bit closer to green. The Nasdaq is a little bit more red this morning. Google is down. Netflix is green. Apple is red. Nvidia is green. AMD is red. Tesla is green. Meta is red. Microsoft is red. So kind of mixed tech stocks this morning. Yeah, we finally have some data, man. It's been quiet the last few weeks. We didn't even get, like, it was slow because the ADP weekly report last week didn't even drop. They basically said they're going to skip a week because of it being Ghost Week last week, essentially. But it's back this morning. Again, we do have the Jolts report. So we have two different jobs reports today. We have the Jolts report at 10 a.m. and then at 8:15 we have the ADP report. If we take a look at yields this morning, chat, yields are sitting at 4.14% as we speak, 4.14%. If we look at what they've done this morning, they're down slightly. They were at 4.17, 4.16%. I think maybe a weaker PMI data yesterday caused this to drop. Again, but we are at 4.14% right now for yields. They're down a little bit on the day. If we take a look at the Fed watch tool this morning, it's still basically at 16%, 16% in terms of a pause versus cut. 84% likelihood of a pause later this month, 16% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. We'll do a poll. What's up, Faye? What's up, R? What's up, Plasma? Look at SMR. It's looking strong. Yeah, we're up a bunch the last few days for SMR. Scale power, 14 to basically 19. Went over 20 for a little while. Let's see if it can re-break 20. I think 20 in stocks is a pretty big psychological level. Question is going to be, are you bullish or bearish on today's job reports? ADP Jolts. Let's see, man. Yeah, you can vote on the polls now. Polls are now live. Are you bullish or bearish on today's job reports, ADP and Jolts? You can vote. Let me know which one you think. I still don't think we're cutting rates unless we get just a string of bad job data. I don't think we're cutting rates this month. I think we're going to pause almost regardless of what we get. The big one is Friday. Friday we get the actual official labor report with unemployment data as well. And so that's the only one that might change my mind about what we do for rate cuts this month. But I don't think we're cutting rates this month. I think we're going to skip this month at the very least. Maybe in March, but I think if we're going to cut rates, it's going to be towards the end of the year. Just based off of trends that we've seen them use previously. So the Warner Bros. Chairman Samuel DiPiazza on the Paramount offer says, from our perspective, they got to put something on the table that is compelling. We're not in dialogue with Paramount. So again, he said that basically Paramount needs to put something on there that is compelling and that they're currently not in dialogue with them. So looking like Netflix is going to win this. But we'll see. Again, they're going with Netflix probably because Netflix has a much higher chance of getting approval, as well as Netflix originally was the first one to offer a back out fee, where if they don't get approved, I think they owe Warner Bros. Like $5.8 billion if they don't get approved. And so we know they're not going to risk that unless there's a high chance. And again, Warner Bros. Cites lack of certainty in Paramount's ability to close the deal. The Netflix merger is superior to Paramount's amended offer, according to them, and urges holders not to tender shares to Paramount. They also said debt financing Paramount offer terms heighten risk of failure. Considered cost, loss of value to holders with Sky offer. It provides insufficient value regarding Paramount. We also had JP Morgan earlier this morning say they cut all ties with proxy advisors. Yeah, so if you look at this, JP Morgan cut all ties with proxy advisors. They'll use in-house AI-powered platform to cast shareholder votes, apparently. Effective immediately. This amps the pressure up in an industry that recently has come into the Trump administration's crosshairs. $7 trillion in client assets, has to vote shares in thousands of company. Going to start using internal AI-powered platform to do it now. So that's an interesting dynamic. Look at silver. So silver came all the way down almost $78 exactly, and then bounced right there. So we'll see if silver continues to fall or what happens there. We made a bunch trading silver yesterday. So we did make a lot trading silver. We'll see if this holds. But yeah, I bought the dip in Netflix long term yesterday, and the reason I did is because there's a lot of bullish reasons to be in Netflix. Again, I'm not telling you to buy it. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable. Always make your own assessment. I can't guarantee anything. But I think there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic around Netflix, especially on the wake of this recent pullback. Netflix has essentially been pulling back since June, July. And so they've been dipping. This is exactly what I look for in my swing trades. What I look for in my swing trades specifically is I look for companies that are strong, that earn good money, but that have pulled back for the last like 3 to 6 months. You know, usually that is where I look to buy the pullbacks. And then I just look for a follow through back higher, if that makes sense. And I'll sit on it for a long time. It can be a swing trade. It can be an investment. Doesn't really matter. I'm just going to sit on it. Maybe DCA into it. Maybe just average into it. The U.S. Department of War and J.P. Morgan to build a U.S. silver refinery to process metals. South Korea's Korea Zinc has announced a massive $7.4 billion investment in a new state-of-the-art smelter in the U.S., including the acquisition of NiStar's U.S. operations. It involves partnerships with the U.S. Department of Defense and the Department of Commerce, aims to produce 13 essential non-ferrous metals from recycled electronic scrap and industrial byproducts, with big implications for the silver market, both domestically and globally. So yeah, there's talks of silver repricing event, futures potentially happening. But we'll see deeper in that. I don't know why he changed it from the Department of Defense to the Department of War. I don't know if that's like, look, I'm not one that agrees or disagrees with anything. But this, I don't necessarily agree with this. I think it's kind of, you know, it seems antagonistic. Like, why? Like, Department of Defense sounds official. Why change it? Like, don't name it Department of War. I can't. It's hard for me to say that, you know. And again, I agree with some of the stuff the president does, but this is just antagonistic. Yeah, I mean, even if Netflix drops down to $75 a share, I'll probably still stay in it. It's a small enough position. I just think it might be time to buy the dip. Again, maybe not. You never know. My average price is like 90. So. Yeah, we're at 92,000 for Bitcoin. I was optimistic. I still want to see if Bitcoin starts moving up to break 100,000 sometime soon. We have UK's Starmer speaking right now. He says choosing between Europe and the United States would be a strategic mistake. If I can change this. Yeah, there you go. All right. Rumble apparently is launching Bitcoin tipping for 68 million users. And again, looking at the Paramount SkyMount deal, it's not looking like there's going to get approved. Again, I think, like, really, if we look at this objectively, Warner Bros. Is essentially betting on Netflix over Paramount because they think Netflix has a much higher chance of getting approved easier. And that's the biggest risk for this deal is approval. And so you can kind of tell, you know, obviously they don't want Paramount. They want Netflix over Paramount. I think when you look at their tone and what they've said, I think that becomes really clear and obvious. What's up with SoFi? I'm actually in SoFi right now. My average price in SoFi is $26. So we're slightly green on it. Slightly green. I've been in it for a while though. I'm probably just sitting in it. Yeah, I don't know what the data is gonna do today. And again, regarding, like, look, I don't want to turn it too political. I'm very neutral politically. I agree with some of the stuff the president does. I think descheduling or rescheduling cannabis was a good move. I think he should have done more, but I think rescheduling it is a good move. You know, but there's some stuff that you know, I don't agree with. And this is one of those things where it's just kind of like, just leave it alone, you know? Maybe it sounds more intimidating, and I guess there's a reason, you know, you could do that. So, trying to look at it objectively. SoFi is accumulating, it will bring down a bit more before it brings back up. Yeah, I mean, I'm in SoFi, I'll probably just sit in it too. Silver did dip a little bit, but we're green on our silver position as well. You know what position did really well is our Nike trade. We jumped in Nike like a week or two ago at $57 a share. It's now at $65 a share. Very large percentage increase since we jumped in. And to a point at which we might actually take a little bit off here. I think I probably should. Just to protect. Yeah, we just took a little bit off. Here's Nike. We bought it at 57, so it's now at 65. I think it'll still probably go higher, but, you know. We got it basically at the bottom. Our average price is $57.31. Here's 57 right here. So, we bought Nike right in time. Right in time. It was probably time. Again, I've said this before. I think resellers have an incentive to make Nike succeed. I think the whole resale market, shoes market, which has a lot of money floating around it, is, you know, they are dependent on Nike's success, to be honest, right? Like the resellers, they depend on those shoes retaining value. They depend on Nike's success. And so there's an incentive to keep it higher and successful as well. Silver rebounding a little bit, right at $78. It's back up to $78.75 right now. Again, Nvidia at 180. I want to see if Nvidia can break over 90s. The Nasdaq, again, still a little red this morning. Did dip down, but we did have a green day again yesterday for the Nasdaq. So the Nasdaq did push up yesterday. You can see here is the move. The Nasdaq went from about 25,550, 25,570s, all the way up to 25,800. Now down to 25,700s. But so it's technically red in pre-market, but green over the last day. What's your perspective on the Supreme Court ruling on tariffs? I think that at this point they should allow them to continue, most likely. I think reversing them would probably cause more chaos than good. And I think they're going to find ways to implement them anyway, and so it's just going to kind of like, it can stall things. And yeah, I think they should just allow. I think at this point in time, they're already here. You should allow them to continue. We've already seen the market's already digested them and all that stuff. I think if you reverse them, it might just cause more. It might cause worse volatility and too much unknown there. All right, guys, remember at 8:15 market time in 40 minutes, we have the ADP report. The ADP report is expected at about 49,000 jobs, 49,000 payrolls. So we'll see what happens. Last time it showed up really weak at negative 32,000. So the last ADP report showed up at negative 32K. We'll see what this one shows up as. I'm genuinely curious to see what this one shows. Last one was really weak. If we look at the last ADP report, again, this one did scare people when it came out. The last one showed up negative 32,000 jobs for November. Now we're getting the December numbers. And again, ADP drops a weekly report and a monthly report, right? So this one is the monthly report. The last one we got was for November. This one is for December. And then again, in December, they're expected to... yeah, in December, they're expecting 49,000 jobs in December. So we'll see what that looks like. We'll see what happens here. We did have the NBA 30-year mortgage rate show up this morning. And I think, don't we have Challenger job cuts today, or is that another day? Let me see. We did have European CPI show up this morning. It showed up at 2% versus 2% expectations year over year, month over month at 0.3%. Last time was negative 0.5%. So I would say low to average CPI inflation for Europe. We did have NBA 30-year mortgage data show up a little bit higher than last time, 6.32 for 30-year mortgage rates. Last one was 6.31. Again, we do have factory orders for October going live at 10 o'clock. We got Jolts We have ISM services going live at 10 o'clock as well. So we got a lot of stuff going on. But again, you can read this last ADP report. It said hiring has been choppy as of late as employers weather cautious consumers in an uncertain macroeconomic environment. And while November slowdown was broad-based, it was led by a pullback among small businesses. And so you can see that. We'll see what happens there. Again, here's the NASDAQ at the top. We will trade maybe silver, maybe the NASDAQ here. But look at this dip in the NASDAQ right now. I'm going to put the NASDAQ up in the middle here. And then we're going to put silver up on this one. NASDAQ with a deep pullback here. And apparently the U.S. is carrying out an operation to seize a Venezuela-linked tanker, according to sources. If you look at oil's kind of flat. More flat than people expected it to be. But oil is down a little bit today. Almost down. It is basically flat, but it's down especially over the last 24 hours for oil. So all the way down to $56, $57 a barrel for crude. Albertsons also just posted earnings. Betting markets say 80% chance. I see a 21% chance of a reversal on a poly market. So it says 21% chance as of now. And this market will resolve to a yes if the Supreme Court of the U.S. issues a decision that reverses, vacates, or otherwise overturns. Oh, wait. So there'll be yes. Oh, never mind. You're right. So there's a 20% chance that they keep the tariffs. So the odds are low. Yeah, currently there's a 1% chance. Who said 50 basis point decrease in January? Again, a 50 basis point, there's a 1% chance of this, but who's even betting on this? The only way we would ever cut 50 basis points in January is if we have really weak labor data. Today at 10 a.m. for Jolts as well. Friday, jobless claims need to come in high. Friday's labor report needs to show weak job numbers. And then we need to have low inflation next Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday, Wednesday. I have to see when PPI comes out. But we'd have to have low inflation data across the board. Very weak labor data universally. And I just don't know if we're going to get that. We might have one report that's weak or whatever, but usually it varies. So I don't even know why they have 50 basis point option. I think very far-fetched. Unlikely. Could happen. You never know. Could happen. Jobs report today will show strong numbers as expected due to the holiday season. Hiring, a wall flip in the next one. So you're saying there's a chance? There's a chance. There's always a chance of anything. Might not be a very good chance. Might not be the most probable thing. But there's always a chance here. Yeah, 8:15 Eastern Standard Time for the jobs report. It's in 35 minutes. I want to see if the NASDAQ holds this here. I actually might buy this. Let me see. There's one account that we can withdraw in right now. Probably just trade. Let me make sure I'm trading the. I'll wait a second. I'm probably going to process a withdrawal. One of these. Right one. Yeah. We'll do the withdrawal on the other one. I might buy this dip in the next day. Let me see if I got time. I need a small pullback from here though, like a little dip. I got a couple minutes until the jobs report comes out. Not my favorite dip, but it's micro, so we can add. Did I say that and then trade the wrong one again? Oh no, this is here. Yeah, if the decision's Friday, Friday is going to be a crazy volatile day, right? Like Friday, we have the official labor report from the government. Payrolls for that are expected to show up Friday. Tomorrow we have jobless claims. Friday we have the official labor report, which is payrolls expected at 57,000 for December. Unemployment rate expected at 4.5%. We got a little cushion here. I think I'm going to take some off of this just because we ended up going back up so fast here. We lock some profit in on this one as well. What's this other one? Maybe we'll add to a dip here again and see if we can make a little bit more from this trade. Take it off right there and lock it in. Now we have a cushion to trade on the rest. Oil trying to go green on the day. Here's silver on the top right. And again, the labor report, the last one was weak. You can see the real losers of the recent labor reports have been small businesses, right? Businesses from only 1 to 19 employees lost 46,000. 20 to 50 employees lost 74,000. You know, and if you compare these to like mid-sized and large businesses, mid-sized and large businesses mostly did well here. If you look at this, 50 to 250 employees gained 31,000, 250 to 500 gained 20,000. So the losses mostly stem from small businesses. 500 plus employees, like the largest businesses, gained 39,000. Construction lost some jobs in the last one. Manufacturing lost some jobs in the last one. Info lost some jobs. Financial activities lost some jobs. Professional and business services lost some jobs. Education and health gained jobs. Leisure and hospitality gained jobs. And other services lost some. So, and again, we get a continuation of this report for December today in about 30 minutes exactly. Japanese government bonds are up 10, 20, 30, 40. Do you think this will affect the market today? Maybe a little bit. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, whichever side of the political spectrum you're on, I'm not against you. I'm really not. I'm very neutral. Both sides probably dislike me, really, if I am neutral. I don't really, like, I don't know. I don't really get on the, let me argue. Let me root really hard for one side of the political spectrum. I'm just not really that type of person. Oil back green on the day, technically at 57s. Again, we got about 30 minutes left. 30 minutes. Finally, we got some data here. We finally got some reports to go live. Ghost Week has been boring. We got something happening. Again, natural gas futures are up. Prices are up by 5% on a small decline in daily output and forecast for more demand in the next few weeks. Again, the U.S. is going to apparently try to seize the tanker known as the Bella 1, according to sources. Again, this has to do with the U.S. carrying out an operation to seize a Venezuela-linked tanker. Again, apparently the tanker is going to be potentially The tanker formerly known as Bella 1. Who is this, Prince? Why is it formerly known? I mean, I get it, but like, come on now. NASDAQ, I should have held. NASDAQ still pushing up at 770s here, 770s. Where's the high of the day on the NASDAQ? The ADP report drops in 30 minutes. You can see a timer in the bottom left. Timer in the bottom left. Yeah, maybe Scott. Now it's the taker of war, maybe. Apparently. Formerly known. That's a ridiculous label. Who's this? P. Diddy? Who is this? Prince? You know? Does it have a new name now? Alright, guys. We're at 775s in the NASDAQ. Yeah, I know about Prince. I know. I'm just saying. It's funny. It's funny they labeled the tanker that. Anyways. Yeah, ADP is a payroll processor, right? And one of the reasons you might think that if you've looked at the data consistently month to month with both the official government data as well as ADP data, one of the reasons ADP data might be more accurate is because it processes payrolls. It has that data, especially in the wake of the government shutdown in October and November. But also, we kind of see that accuracy reflect a lot just in general for these reports. ADP data can be much more accurate. And again, the last one showed negative 32,000 jobs. So the last one did show weak job numbers. Jay, I've said it a bunch. The ADP report drops in 30 minutes, 26 minutes. At 8:15 market time. It is now 7:50 market time or so. We got about 26, 27 minutes left. So the ADP report drops. It's coming. Don't worry, it's coming. Got some time, but it's coming. We're gonna see if we can make more money today. We made a lot in silver yesterday. We really did. We probably made $700 or $800 in silver yesterday. Let's see if we can continue to do well here. Silver again has been pulling back a little bit this morning, but it's starting to fight its way back up a little bit. But silver bounced right at $78. We talked about 78. There's 78 right there. Again, the NASDAQ bounced right at the 200 exponential here. Again, we did have Warner Bros. News this morning. Warner Bros. Again basically saying they don't like Paramount's offer because they are skeptical about Paramount's ability to close the deal. They think the Netflix merger is superior to the Paramount deal, and they urge holders not to tender shares to Paramount. We had that news this morning. Again, they basically think Netflix got a higher chance of getting approved. What it is. Also, we saw some GameStop news this morning. GameStop is apparently announcing a long-term performance award for Ryan Cohen. Says it's going to include stock options to buy 171.5 million shares for Ryan Cohen. GameStop, on the other hand, has had a tough time recently, but it's back up to $21 a share on this news. If you look at GameStop, it is gapping up some. Again, speaking of GameStop, I recently went to an AMC theater and ordered a pizza with my daughter. And I wanted to get 2 pizzas because, you know, I want a full pizza. And my daughter was like, no, look, we'll share it. I'm like, okay, fine. It's a pizza. Will probably be good, right? I ordered this pizza. It's in a huge pizza box. And so I'm like, okay, this pizza's got to be big. That's great. I open the box, and this pizza is like a mouse pizza. It is like this big. Genuinely this big. You know, the slices I look like when I took a picture of myself holding one of the slices, I look like a giant, you know? And so I tweeted Adam Aaron and said, what's going on here? Anyways, do I buy this NASDAQ dip here? And if you don't believe me, the problem was the box was huge. All right, I'm looking at buying this dip here. I'm wondering if the market gets choppy here. We have 23 minutes left until the ADP data drops. 23 minutes left. You know what? I'm buying this. I went and saw the Avatar movie. Don't ask me if it was good. Don't ask me. Yeah, you guys see, I was unhappy. I ranted about it the whole time. It's the principle of it. Don't put a tiny pizza in a huge pizza box. All right, we bought the dip of the NASDAQ. Silver hit the 200 exponential here. And again, we got 22 minutes left. Yeah, the pizza wasn't that good. No, it was not very good. Do I add to this pullback here? I think I do. I think we're close enough to this peak up here that we might bounce short term, but if I'm wrong, we got a cushion on the day. We can handle it. All right, there we go. We're now green here. I'd love for this to go up enough for me to take profits. I mean, we still have 20 minutes that we can potentially hold this. I'm going to cut it before the ADP report. Again, the ADP report's expected at 49,000. 49,000. I'm gonna put this up so you can see it. Yeah, yesterday I tried to switch to a different oh. Yeah, I'm focusing too much on the stream. What are we down a little bit? Yeah, all right. Yesterday we tried to switch to a different streaming platform, but I just didn't really feel it. I wasn't really loving it. Higher ADP numbers is higher payrolls. So stronger ADP numbers just means stronger jobs numbers. Yeah, we're getting to the point where we might cut this trade and be pretty flat on the day now. I wanted to give it a chance to bounce, but market just kind of turned. So. So we have mostly jobs data today. So again, today at 8:15, in about 20 minutes, we have ADP payrolls. Following the ADP payroll report, we have the Jolts job openings report at 10 a.m. We also have ISM services data at 10 a.m. So we have a bunch of jobs reports today, basically. We have ISM services, we have Jolts, and we have ADP data in about 18 minutes. Looking at our poll numbers, 64% are mostly bullish on this job report day. We'll see if we follow through with that. Ugh. My daughter recently told me I have violent sneezes. Let me know if you think that's true or not. I don't know. We could bounce right here at the 200 exponential. Again, silver dipped at the 200 EMA as well. Oil, again, finally green on the day. Bitcoin, again, if we look at it right below me here, is at 92,000. 92,000. Yeah, it's monthly data for ADP. So the weekly report was skipped last week in the wake of Ghost Week, essentially it being so slow last week. The monthly data is today. The weekly report was skipped. We get another weekly report next week on Tuesday, which I think is the same day inflation, CPI inflation comes out. So yeah, today we have ADP services, jobs from Jolts, factory orders. Tomorrow we have jobless claims, unemployment, and then Friday we have the labor report and University of Michigan consumer sentiment and housing starts and building permits. And then next week on Tuesday we get CPI inflation data. Wednesday we get retail sales and PPI inflation data. Thursday we get jobless claims and import prices. And then that's basically it. We get industrial production and capacity utilization data, but that's kind of slow. But today, again, ADP payroll is expected at 49,000. They go live at 8:15 market time in about 16 minutes. You can see a timer over there for it, but yeah, I saw a stand-up thing about sneezes. Sneezes feel good, you know. If you can like freely sneeze, you know, you don't have a bunch of people around, and you can sneeze away. Yeah, I mean the Avatar movie. Look, I don't want to give spoilers. I'm just gonna avoid being a movie Karen for today and just skip it and just you know, it's too long. That's my complaint. It's too long. Halfway through, I'm like, all right, this needs to end. You know. Yeah, silver dipping down. It's at 78.35s right now. NASDAQ did bounce. Again, where did the NASDAQ bounce? At the 200 exponential. Maybe I should have bought that dip instead. Even if it doesn't hold, we still bounced up to this level here. We'll see if it continues. It's now 8 a.m. We'll see if we get some moves for 8 a.m. Again, NASDAQ, oil, silver. We can put gold up here as well. Here's gold. Gold's down to 44.50s. 4,500s is the previous closing price. Again, Bitcoin just under 92,000, and I am watching 92K. Again, ADP jobs, 8:15. NASDAQ is dipping heavy here. Look at this. I see the OPEC Secretariat receives updated compensation plans from Iraq, UAE, and Kazakhstan, and Oman. Okay, a helicopter is reportedly trying to land apparent U.S. military forces on a Venezuela-linked oil tanker. This one's called Marinera, according to, I don't know if this is Reuters. Is that its new name, or is that the one previously known as whatever it was previously known as? NASDAQ starting to break down. We're at 25,750s here, 25,750s. We got about 14 minutes left until the ADP jobs report goes live. Yeah, and this is so according to a poll, the U.S. dollar positioning they think is going to hold steady or see net shorts increase by the end of this month. 35 out of 40 strategists think again the dollar positioning is going to hold steady or see net shorts increase by the end of January. Again, this is after news regarding the tanker that 20 minutes ago we got news that the U.S. seeks to seize the tanker formerly known as Bella 1. According to sources. All right, guys, here we go. We're heading into the ADP report. 9 bars are looking to sell U.S. IG bonds today, according to Bloomberg. Again, yields were a little bit lower than yesterday for yields. If we take a look at bond yields here, 10-year Treasury yields at 4.14%. And again, interest rates and yields can follow each other. Lower yields means weaker sentiment, maybe from the PMI data we've had earlier this week. And we do have another one dropping at 10 a.m. today with the Jolts report. So Are you guys bullish or bearish on this report? Again, we did a poll earlier on this. 64% are bullish on today's job reports, which includes ADP and Jolts. 36% are bearish. Again, we have now 11 minutes left. 11 minutes before the ADP report. Hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. NASDAQ bouncing a little bit higher here. I think a lot of stuff might consolidate until this labor report actually drops. I'm not a fan of this market right now. Yeah, I mean, I've done good on my trades lately. Like, we bought Disney, green. We're down in Home Depot. Hams were kind of flat in. We're green on Coca-Cola, green in Meta. Netflix were down a little bit. Very green on Nike, very green on Oracle, very green on Silver. Green in SoFi. PayPal were flat, and Target were very green on as well as some of my swing trades that we've gotten in recently. We've done pretty well there, but doesn't mean it's going to hold or anything. See, NASDAQ trying to climb higher, but overall flat over the past hour or so. Can y'all hear my dogs? Yeah, they bark. We got company over right now, so they're barking. We have a little bit over 10 minutes, basically 10 minutes left right now. Again, what's your predictions? Do you think we go higher or lower? Let me know in chat right now. Do you think we go higher or lower? Again, the last higher or lower than 49,000 is going to be my expected number, 49K. In the last report, what we really saw was negative 32,000 jobs. This was specifically from weakness in manufacturing, professional and business services, information, and construction. But a lot of this had to do with small companies. You know, small companies from 1 to 19 employees lost 46,000 jobs. From 20 to 50 employees lost 74,000 jobs. Everything else gained jobs. Mid-size 50 to 249 gained 31,000. 250 to 499 gained 20,000. Large companies with over 500 employees gained almost 40,000 jobs. And so the weakness was really isolated to small businesses between 1 and 250, or no, between 1 and 50 employees. They lost the most jobs. So that's what we saw last time. We will see what this one shows. Again, we have 9 minutes left. And again, we do have the ADP jobs report. We'll see what it looks like. Weaker numbers about to print. One of the biggest bull markets in recent decades. Small businesses are cooked. Raging bull market. It seems very tippy. Market's going out. Makes no sense. I'm not a fan of this market. Yeah, we'll see what the data shows. We got about 7.5 minutes left. Silver breaking down a little bit, under $78 an ounce now for silver. So look at silver fall. So silver is now falling down under $78 an ounce. Here's 78s right here. And so silver's breaking down. Gold is also breaking down here if you look at it. Bitcoin's still holding under 92,000 this morning. Hey, what's up, Jay? Again, silver's trying, but it is breaking down a little bit. If the NASDAQ holds. Look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin just took a big downturn under 91.9s. Maybe not a huge one. Johnson & Johnson submits for the FDA. Warren Buffett recently stepped down. How's Berkshire doing since that? I mean, it dropped a little bit after it happened, but not the biggest drops. Kind of flat. Silver's still falling at 77.50s right now. 77.50s for silver. But look at silver right here. It's at 77.50. Right there. Again, we got about 7 minutes left, chat. 7 minutes left. Yeah, I mean, the VIX is probably not going to be moving too much right now. If, like, just to show you guys, like, if the NASDAQ starts dumping like this, then the VIX is going to increase. Right? And again, most markets opened up red, so the VIX gapped up a little bit, but the VIX is pretty flat still. VIX is not really moving. Like, the VIX needs big volatility to go up. And so, you know, it's still pretty low, all things considered, in the VIX. The VIX is down at $15. It's not a very high level for the VIX. Like, you can kind of see the VIX will spike in April of this year. It was at 30 plus, you know. Now it's at 15, so not that much volatility right now. I'm thinking lower than expected on ADP given the recent increase in labor for employers. Yeah, we got about 6 minutes left. And again, we do have Jolts job openings coming out live at 8:15. Or at 10 a.m., I mean, for Jolts. The ADP report goes live at 8:15. So again, we got about 5 minutes. Make sure you hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. We appreciate it. Silver still falling. 77.40s right now. 77.40. So is Bitcoin. Again, speaking of the dollar, here's the Dixie. Dixie slightly green on the day. Again, you can put the S&P up here. It's at 690s for the SPY. Red on the day as well. So a little red. Not crazy red, but a little red to stay on most equities. Definitely most indexes are red, slightly. Yeah, silver and gold are falling. Bitcoin back to 88,000 this week. We'll see, Womble. Maybe. Yeah, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. We got about 1,000 here. We still got 5 minutes until the report drops. We'll see what it looks like. But we got multiple job reports today. Again, the next one's going to be at 10 a.m. for Jolts and all that stuff. So. See. About to spill my coffee. All right, guys. 4 minutes left. 4 minutes. Again, hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. It's expected at 49,000 for jobs. 49,000. Put higher or lower in chat, depending on where you think it'll show. Higher or lower than 49K. I'm curious to see what small businesses look like. Again, the last one showed negative 32K. It was mostly centered around small business losses, though. Between 1 and 50 employee businesses lost, a large margin of jobs. And so I'm curious to see what that looks like today. But again, we have about 3.5 minutes left. 3.5 minutes left. Curious to see if they're going to revise the numbers. Previous one was negative 32,000, which did not help markets. Again, we have about 3 minutes left. No clue. Crypto pumps. All right, so I see lower, higher, lower, lower, lower. Again, it's at 8:15 market time. We have 3 minutes left. Yeah, I'd normally, if we didn't have jobs data showing up soon, I'd probably buy this 200 exponential pullback just because we held support underneath it a few times. But with being so close to the labor report, and you can also see silver starting to break down, gold breaking down, the SPY's pulling back a little bit. I'm just going to at least wait until this report goes out first. Again, we got about 2 minutes left until the ADP report goes live. 2.5 minutes. All right, guys, about 2 minutes left. Cautiously optimistic. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Again, we'll see. I'm curious what we get today. Again, it's expected at about 49 to 50,000, which is a big improvement relative to what it was last time at negative 32,000. Again, the weakness was centered around manufacturing, small businesses, you know, construction, manufacturing. You can see they lost some jobs. Information lost some jobs. Financial activity lost some jobs. Professional and business services lost. So, see what today's report shows. But again, we got about 1.5 minutes left. 1.5 minutes left. All right, jobs data showing up in about a minute, guys. Again, hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. We appreciate it. Music's fitting right now. Yeah, we're trying over here. I don't want it to be too calm for a jobs report. Yeah, about a 16% chance of a cut this month so far. And again, I'll put it out there. I don't think we're gonna pause, or I don't think we're gonna cut rates this month, unless we get really weak labor data today for Jolts and ADP data, as well as like low inflation data next week, which I think is far-fetched. I don't think we're cutting rates this month. All right, guys, 40 seconds. 40 seconds. Again, hit the live button. Put it in 2x speed. I appreciate it. See what we get today. About 30 seconds left. A little bit less than that, actually. But again, it's expected at about 47 to 50,000. Here we go. 10 seconds. Again, hit the live button next to the play button to put it in 2x speed. Here's the report going live very soon. Very soon. 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 1 second. And here's the report. 41,000 jobs. 41,000 jobs versus 49,000 expected. Weaker jobs, 41 versus 49 expected. So again, 41 versus 45 to 50 expected. Again, 41,000 versus expected 49,000 jobs. Weaker than expected numbers here. The NASDAQ is actually liking this report and reacting favorably to it. Maybe because it's going to increase the odds of a rate cut. But again, we showed up at 41,000 jobs versus 47,000 expected. And I'll put this data up on screen right now so you can see it. But again, 41,000 jobs versus 49,000 expected. 50K expected roughly. There's the data on screen now. Let me make sure that you can actually see this. But yeah, 49,000 or 41,000 jobs. They expected roughly 50. And again, look at the NASDAQ react well to this. So the NASDAQ is rebounding some on this report. Silver's back up a little bit as well here. And again, we still have the Jolts report later on today. But again, we showed up at 41,000 jobs versus 50,000 expected. Honestly, this is kind of a flat number, to be honest. The NASDAQ does like this report, though, it looks like so far. But sometimes the first move is the wrong move. But again, 49,000 jobs. 49,000 jobs versus 41,000 jobs versus 49,000 expected. Weaker than expected numbers here. And yeah, we just had a weaker than expected report. Weaker than expected. Again, 41K. And we'll cover the rest of this here. here pretty quickly as well. But again, we showed up at 41,000 versus expected 49,000 jobs. NASDAQ is up. Yeah, we'll see what we get. NASDAQ is reacting well to this. Again, 41,000 jobs. Annual pay was up 4.4%, 4.1%. This is slightly under expectations here. Again, 48,000 roughly. Payroll growth came entirely in services industries as education and health related fields and from companies that employ fewer than 500 workers. Again, added 41,000 jobs for the month of December, which is a reversal from the loss of roughly 29,000 in November. Good sign for the labor market, but still lower than expected numbers. Private company payrolls declined in 3 of the 4 months prior to this December release. Again, the payroll growth came entirely in services industry as education and health related fields added 39,000 jobs, and leisure and hospitality increased 24,000. Trade, transportation, and utilities gained 11,000. Financial services rose by 6,000. And so that's what we're seeing right now. Is yeah, slightly better than last time, but lower than expected jobs data. Slightly better, but lower than expected. Again, it comes 2 days ahead of BLS data. They think 73,000 is what we're going to get today. 73,000. Hey, bud, how you doing, man? All right, guys. Sorry, I had to do some kid stuff. Hey, I love you guys. Yeah, pretty good numbers. I mean, look, it was kind of flat data here. Kind of flat data. Markets are liking it, though. NASDAQ back up. SPY is back up a little bit here as well. Yeah, markets are not hating this report here, to be honest. So we'll see what we get. But market's not, like, hating this data right now. Again, you can kind of see the report here if you want to take a deeper look at it. 41,000 jobs for December. Small establishments recovered from November losses with positive end-of-the-year hiring. Again, small businesses, the gains are small in small businesses. Like, the gains are small. They're not crazy big, but they're not super negative like they were last time. You know, last time these numbers were deeply negative for businesses that were between 1 and 50 employees, and now they're rebounding a little bit with 1 to 19 employees gaining about 4,000 jobs, 20 to 50 or 20 to 49 gaining about 5,000. We saw mid-size employee businesses have job growth, and large companies stagnated a little bit relative to last time, but still grew by 2,000 jobs. Goods increased 1,000, construction increased, manufacturing still very weak in the United States. Down 5,000. Trade, transportation, and utilities up 11K. Information still weak at 12,000 decline. Financial activities bounce back a little bit better at 6K. Businesses and professional services down almost 30,000 again. So this is some of the weaker sectors. Professional and business services incredibly weak. Everything else gained. But yeah, better than expected here, chat. Better than expected. Or no, lower than expected, but better than last time is the story of this report. So lower than expected, better than last time. Some of this stuff did bounce back, though. And again, we have the Jolts report going live at 10 a.m. It's expected for the Jolts report the Jolts report is expected along with ISM manufacturing, but the Jolts is expected at 7.61 million. 7.61 million at 10 a.m. So manufacturing was at a weaker level as well. Manufacturing lost about 5,000 jobs on this report. If you look at it right here, the manufacturing lost about 5,000. One of the things that likes this is Bitcoin. Bitcoin back up over 92,000. So Bitcoin's bouncing back a little bit here. Okay, so I'm looking at some breaking news that happened, maybe 3 minutes ago. A White House official says the meeting between oil executives and the president will happen on Friday. In that meeting, the president will talk about oil, according to FBN's Lawrence. I'll put this data up, but again, this is supposed to happen on Friday. Same day as the labor report, same day that we get the tariff update as well on what's happening to the tariffs. We have Jolts later. We do have the Jolts report later on this morning. Pretty good numbers with all those government job cuts. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the market wants rate cuts, right? I don't think we're going to cut rates. I don't think this is a weak enough report to justify rate cuts either. But if we look at yields, right, which is what you want to look at if you want to see where we might see interest rates head. So if you want to see where interest rates might head, you can look at yields. Yields are a little bit lower on this report. They were at about 4.1% or 4.14% when I looked at them this morning. They're now at 4.136%. And so, they are a little bit lower. You can kind of see them decreasing here for yields, and interest rates and yields can follow each other. If we take a look at the rate odds, again, if we take a look at rate odds, 84%, 16% chance of pause still is what I'm showing on my end. Maybe this will change. Sometimes this takes a little bit longer to change. But again, I don't think the ADP report is really going to change this tune right now. I think we still have Jolts. We still have the official labor report on Friday. We still have inflation data next week, and all of that stuff might change the tune of the Fed, but I don't think so necessarily. I still think we're going to pause this month. I don't think we're going to cut rates this month at all. I think we're going to pause rates, and as of now, it's still 84% likelihood of that, and so I just don't think we're going to do that. I think they speak on tariffs Friday, if I'm not mistaken. At least somebody else said that. Yeah, silver back up a little bit to $78 on this report. Yeah. Love from India. We have 1,000 plus online. Each one, please be kind enough to give a thumbs up. Yeah, y'all hit the like and subscribe button. I appreciate it. We cover all the stuff live as soon as it happens. It's been a slow couple weeks in Ghost Week in markets for the new year, but now that's over, and this week we get a bunch of reports. Next week we get a bunch of reports, and we cover them quickly, so hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. Yeah, I think Friday is the day when we're going to get the update for the tariffs. Amundi has downgraded the dollar outlook to cautious, while the Dixie flat at 98.5. The dollar remains under pressure as the U.S. exceptionalism fades and tariff uncertainties linger, according to Amundi. Despite a slight upgrade to 2026 growth, expectations remain below potential, while the Fed is seen delivering 2 more rate cuts. Amundi has a... Okay. All right, love you. Amundi has downgraded its dollar outlook to cautious, while the dollar index is flat at 98.58 here, 98.58. All right, guys. So let's end this poll. We still got Jolts going live. What's a new poll? Give me some options. Let's do a poll on what the poll should be, right here. Okay. What's a poll? Give me some poll options for what the poll should be. Let's do a poll on what it should be. What's up, V? Yeah, silver. I made a bunch on silver, but the spread is so large. Micro positions on the silver have big swings to a point where I was mostly just trading micros yesterday, made $700 just on micro silver positions. But I got to be careful with that stuff today. Well, the S&P hit 7,000 this week. Bro, we better not get a shutdown. Oh, I definitely got ripped off on the pizza. No, I'm still mad about it, to be honest. All right. All right, so will the S&P break 7,000 this week is what we're going to do. Yes or no? Vote on the poll. Will the S&P break 7,000? It's close. It's close. Here's the E-mini. 7,000 is basically right above us. I think we might. It depends on what the reports show, though. We got Jolts today. NASDAQ is still pushing up here. So it depends on what the reports show. We have Jolts, ISM services data today at 10 a.m. So Jolts and ISM services data at 10 o'clock. We have the actual official labor data Friday. We got jobless claims and more on Thursday. And then next week we get inflation data. So a lot of it's going to depend on what those reports show. But well, the Jolts report is like, people hear job openings and they think it is unemployment, and it's not. It's not unemployment. Essentially what it means is hiring, right? Like, has hiring increased or decreased is what the Jolts report shows. It's how many businesses are opening up jobs, right? Like, what are the job opening numbers look like? Like, how much hiring is going on is essentially what Jolts reads. And so is there a correlation? Yeah, there is, but it's not the same thing as payrolls, right? Jolts is really looking at like economic growth through job hiring, is what it is. And this drops today at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. In about an hour and a half is when we'll see Jolts. Market opens up in about an hour. But yeah, Jolts is going to be after the opening bell today. According to CNBC, oil sales from Venezuela will continue indefinitely and sanctions will be reduced now. Yeah, NASDAQ fighting back. I'm looking at $78 for silver. We talked about 78 before silver even tapped it right here. And now we broke underneath it, and now we're retesting it here. I'm curious to see what silver does at $78 an ounce. We're very close to that. All right, we did a poll on will the S&P break 7,000 this week. 67% say yes, 33% say no. Yeah, I've said it once, I'll say it again. The next step, the next big money pull in markets is going to be robots and AI, obviously. You know, I think if you look at the technology and just how to implement it, I think it's very clear that we're going to start implanting robots and robotics with AI systems. And I think that's obviously going to solve a lot of problems. It's going to automate the world to a certain extent in a lot of different ways, more so than we're already seeing with just pure software. And that's going to be the next big money pull in markets. Now, how long it takes to see that really make moves is a different argument. Maybe we're seeing it now. Maybe it'll be deeper into the future. But I think this is obviously what we're going to start seeing. And it makes logical sense in terms of the evolution of technology. We're going to start seeing more actual physical robots. And, you know, AI is going to do a lot of stuff in that market. And so you're going to start seeing robotics companies take off more and more as time goes on. More so than they already are at this point even. But yeah. How old am I? I'm in my 30s. I've got 2 kids. That solves the problem of people having jobs. I don't know. Robots are resource and capital intensive. Humans are dirt cheap to acquire. Well, maybe, but is it time to buy the Apple dip? Look at the NASDAQ pop here. So the NASDAQ is popping higher. The U.S. is going to acquire more than 50 million barrels of oil from Venezuela, according to CNBC. Let's see what oil is doing right now. But look at oil dip. Again, the U.S. is acquiring over 50 million barrels of oil from Venezuela. Oil is now dipped all the way down to 56.70s here, 56.70s. Again, we got a bunch of IPOs happening this year as well. Look at the NASDAQ pop, though. NASDAQ is up. Silver is down, rejecting where at $78 an ounce. Oil's dipping on this news. Again, we had news that oil sales from Venezuela are going to continue indefinitely. Sanctions will be reduced, but the U.S. is going to acquire more than 50 million barrels of oil from Venezuela. Again, we got some big IPOs this year. We got OpenAI, we got SpaceX, Anthropic, Stripe is supposed to IPO, Canva is supposed to IPO, ByteDance. Did I say SpaceX? That's the biggest one, I think. ADP report is not at 8:30. There's actually no data at 8:30 today. Again, the ADP report is not at 8:30. ADP report is at 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. You can see the numbers below me. 41,000 jobs. Again, oil is dipping heavy here. 56.70s right now on this news. Higher output or higher supply means cheaper oil prices. That's why oil's falling right now. More supply. Acquiring. Shh. I saw an article that said the field most impacted by AI is customer service, and then I thought how often. Yeah, I use AI a lot every day, but I run like an online business, so I mean, I'm gonna use AI. I would say more than a lot of people do. But yeah. Yeah, gold, man. I remember talking about gold at 4,000. Now gold is all the way up at basically $4,500, and it's very close to 5,000. A lot of people are now pushing for 5K for gold. We'll see Bitcoin back over 92,000, which is good. We'll see what happens here. We'll see what happens. Cheaper oil means lower inflation and interest rate cuts, which means tech rallies. Maybe. I mean, it's certainly part of that equation. But again, I don't know. Core inflation looks at pure food and energy prices, so like oil and food, because those are the most volatile swings, like up and down. But yeah, ADP data always comes out at 8:15. So if it's an ADP weekly prelim report, like we get every Tuesday, it's at 8:15. If it's the monthly report we get once a month, it's at 8:15. Generally, the ADP report is looked at as prelim NFP data. So the ADP report is usually looked at as like prelim NFP data. It comes out 2 days before the actual labor report. That dynamic changed a little bit the last few months since the government shut down and data releases were delayed and all that stuff. But now that we're back on schedule doing December data, in 2 days we have the actual official NFP labor report with unemployment. Look at the NASDAQ pullback here. So the NASDAQ is dipping. So I want to buy this dip. I will try to buy this dip here in the NASDAQ. We'll add a little bit to this, but I'd love to see it rebound without needing. And again, spot palladium is down 7%. 7%. Again, news in oil, if you look at oil's decline here, I gotta be careful in this trade. It's very small right now. We're only in 2 micros, so we'll cut this if we need to. But again, look at oil. The oil on this news is down. Bitcoin's pulling back to 92,000 here. We're kind of flat on this position right now. I want to see if we bounce. If I do add, I might add like 1. I'm not going to add 2. I think maybe we'll get some wake ups at the open. Well, we made like $700 yesterday, so this week we got a big cushion. Google actually went green on the day. Google opened up pretty red. It was at 313s. It's now at 315s. %69% think the S&P is going to break 7,000 this week. 31% say no. Jobs going to come in crazy week. They're going to have to cut. I don't know. The ADP data, which is usually seen as kind of like more accurate data, it was weaker than expected, but it's not crazy weak. Like 41 versus 49. If it's a positive jobs number, You know, I've seen the ADP numbers expected at 30K, well, and then they showed up at negative 30 something thousand, right? So like, there's a lot of weaker reports that we can see from these. 41,000 is not like incredibly weak. It's lower than expected. It's definitely weaker than the expected number, but relative to the previous number, you know, you could argue that we saw some rebounds in jobs. So I actually had a hard time like figuring out what the title to stream, because I didn't want to say that labor cooled, because it didn't necessarily. It still showed up positive versus previously negative numbers at negative 32,000. We also saw small businesses. Okay, now we're effectively green. I'm gonna take, you know, a couple off here. We also saw small businesses rebound a little bit. Businesses between 1 and 50 employees actually showed positive growth versus last time, where the only businesses that saw negative growth in the negative 32,000 report that we saw for November was small businesses between 1 and 50 employees, I think. Maybe it wasn't 1 and 50. Let me see. It was between 1 and between 1 and 50. But again, we did see some rebounds here in these labor numbers. So was it incredibly weak? No, it was definitely weaker than expected. It was stronger than previous numbers though. And so I would say it's kind of a flat report. Like, these numbers were mostly flat, not crazy weak, not crazy strong. We did see rebounds in small businesses. Mid-sized businesses still showed growth, and large companies, you know, stagnated a little bit, but still positive. The weakest sectors, manufacturing lost 5,000 jobs, information lost 12,000, professional and business services lost 29K. Everything else was positive. So, is it the weakest report ever? No. Is it going to change the odds of rate cuts drastically? No. I still think we're going to pause this month. Did you really use the word irregardless, bro? I feel like this is intentional here. You know. I use a stop loss if the trade is big enough for it. With a little small micro trade, I'm not going to use one right now. I mean, I could set one if it makes you feel better. Go. All right, I'm probably going to cut it right there and just take the green. Let me look at rates. I don't think they've changed much at all, to be honest. I don't think the odds of rate cuts have changed much. So the odds of a cut have increased from 16 to 18%. So we have a slightly higher chance of rate cuts this month, although I don't think we're going to cut rates. Wait, here, let me get the stop sell out of here. But yeah, so this has increased from roughly 16% to roughly 18%. Now, a little bit over 2%. Any stocks that look cheap right now? I'm looking at Apple dipping down, so Apple has fallen down a little bit. And maybe I should have held the NASDAQ. Look at this pop. Look at the news. Make sure no news breaking right now. The right says the U.S. government wants to get Venezuela oil flowing again. Again, the president and U.S. oil company executives are going to meet on Friday regarding oil. We already covered that. The U.S. government wants to sell Venezuelan oil to U.S. refineries via a Goldman Sachs conference, according to U.S. Energy Secretary Wright. Again, the U.S. is selectively rolling back sanctions on Venezuela oil sales. Of the oil is supposed to begin immediately, according to CNBC, citing sources. CNBC is now reporting that oil sales from Venezuela will continue indefinitely and sanctions are being reduced. It's 12 hours after the president said Venezuela sent 30 to 50 million barrels of crude oil to the United States. The oil shipments will be sold at market price for over $2 billion, which is kind of small, all things considered, but it did make oil dump down a little bit on increased supply, news. Although oil did get bought back up. Bitcoin did bounce where at 92,000. But again, if we look at markets right now, we kind of have a big range. We still have the Jolts report later on today. We have ISM manufacturing data later as well. GameStop? Yeah, GameStop, what is it? The the Cohen news where he... What's the news? I saw it earlier. It's GameStop says they're announcing long-term performance award for Ryan Cohen, a stock option to buy 171.5 million shares. Apple at 262s. 25,790s for NASDAQ here. Yeah, Supreme Court is expected to rule on tariffs, and we have the official labor report on Friday. Again, we have the non-farm payroll report. Just to put this into perspective, unemployment expected to downtick a little bit to 4.5% on Friday. 4.5% unemployment is what's expected. I believe the labor report that comes out Friday, the numbers for this report are expected to be 57,000 for non-farm payrolls, unemployment at 4.5%, private payrolls expected at 50K. We'll see if this changes a little bit, but this is similar to what ADP reported at 41,000 for private payrolls. So yeah, silver rejected $78. And again, like my systems are pretty simple. I look at whole dollar numbers, psychological levels. The next level, I'm looking at the NASDAQ. Look at 78 on silver. Next level I'm looking at on the NASDAQ is 800s right here. We have 800s right here on the NASDAQ here. So we do have $800 right there. We'll see if that holds. Again, this is heading into the opening bell today. Again, we do have Jolts going live today. We do have Jolts going live at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time today. So we do have Jolts. Again, let's see if the SPY breaks all-time highs. Curious. It's close enough, man. It really is close enough. I think 7,000 is just a big psychological level. I've been saying this for a while now. I think the market wants 7,000. Just like gold wanted 4,000. I think the market wants 7,000 on the S&P, and I think we're very close to that. And anytime we get really close to a big psychological level, I think the likelihood that we at the very least test that level goes up. If you look at the E-mini here, so close to 7K. Last time we tested it, we got within $6 away from that on the E-mini on the 26th of December. I think we're very close to that now. I think it's very likely that we test this level now. And so again, my bias on the day is bullish. I might be wrong. Let me know what your bias is. Are you bullish or bearish on the day? Let me know in chat. Put bull or bear in the chat. We did a poll. Almost 70% of people think the SPY breaks 7,000 or the S&P breaks 7,000 this week. So most people are expecting the S&P to break 7,000 this week. I think it probably will do it today. What I'm guessing here. Where's 7,000? Yeah, I think we'll probably do this today. Maybe not. Maybe not. Depends on what Jolts and ISM data shows up as. We have ISM services data at 10 a.m. today as well with Jolts. So we have two big catalysts today at 10 a.m. ISM services and Jolts jobs going live. Both are relevant. Bull, easy bull. Minnesota doesn't have term limits. Any reason not to be bullish on commodities right now? I mean, look, silver's up a lot. So gold and silver have been making big pushes. Silver's up a lot. Gold has been making big moves up. Bullish today and then back to bearish tomorrow. I'm typically bullish in precious metals, but we have seen some crazy swings in silver, so I don't think it's risk free. I really don't think it's risk free. I think I like silver and gold long term. I think if you're looking at it short term though, there might be risks. I've been buying dips though, and it's been working here in the Nasdaq. But look at this pullback here. Let me see if we got any breaking news. Yeah, U.S. has large leverage if 11 controls Venezuela oil, says right. U.S. has large leverage if it controls Venezuelan oil. Venezuela won't change unless the U.S. exerts leverage. The U.S. forces are boarding Venezuela-linked sanctioned oil tanker in North Atlantic after pursuing it for weeks. Is this the formerly known oil tanker? U.S. wants to import parts, equipment, and services to rebuild Venezuelan oil. Wright says he estimates Venezuela oil production could grow by several 100,000 additional barrels in short to medium term. He estimates money from selling Venezuela oil will flow back to benefit Venezuelan citizens. He said the U.S. must control oil sales to change Venezuela. He is speaking to oil firms to learn what conditions would enable them to enter Venezuela. Wants to create conditions for U.S. oil companies to enter. Again, I'm looking at the Apple dip here. So Apple's pulling back some now. The 262s. Big pullbacks today. Yeah, I mean, yesterday's interesting. I still think we got a high chance. I was almost buying this NASDAQ dip right here. Like, I was almost gonna buy this NQ dip again, just because I think it's likelihood the S&P test 7,000 today. I don't know if it will. Again, I'm not an investment professional. We're not liable if you lose money. You always got to make your own assessment, trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. I'm not an investment professional. Not liable if you lose. And again, we'll see what happens. But again, if you want to check out Top Step, it's a great way to help support the channel. There's no PDT rule on futures. I'll put the link up. They are a sponsor of mine. I am biased, of course. But if you want to check them out, here's the link. I'll pin it to the top of the chat if you want to check it out. Again, and looking at our poll, we're still almost 70-30, 68% likelihood of S&P breaking 7,000. Again, NASDAQ falling down here. Do I want to buy this? I don't know. Oh, the S&P 500 beats almost everything. Again, my big thing here, guys, is I don't even claim to be a good trader. I don't even claim to be an expert. I just cover data, cover what works for me. Might not work for you. I don't know. Biggest edge long term is DCAing into indexes, really, in my opinion. But again, not an investment professional. Not liable if you lose money. Figure it out. But yeah, listen, we got 40 minutes until the opening bell. Shorts all day. Look at the daily chart and what? All right, do I buy this pullback, guys? Yes or no? Let me know in chat right now. Any other stocks that look cheap? I'm thinking about Apple right now, really. Apple's been dipping for 3 or 4 days now. I don't know. If Apple was at 250, I might buy it. It's at 260s, so I'm going to be stubborn and just wait. Where's oil at with all this oil news going live? Oil rebounding back up. US has large leverage if it controls oil. President said military option is on the table for Greenland as well. Buying more. Exxon Chevron not going to invest tens of billions in Venezuela since the president has only 3 more years. Cargo is unknown. Palantir looks cheap. Well, you know, 170s right now for Palantir. Still up crazy on the year, but I think if we continue to dabble in foreign stuff more and more, I think Palantir will benefit from it, but it's just makes such big moves as well. One stock that was red on the day that's now effectively green is Google. Look at Google up to 316 on the day. See if that holds. But Google's starting to push up. NASDAQ, I should have bought the dip here, but it looks green. I think the S&P is going to try to break 7,000 today. We're close enough. We're at 69.90s basically. So we need $10 on the S&P to break 7,000. I think we're very close to that. Yeah, hit the like button. We appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button as well, guys. Everybody talking about Zeta? What is that? Catherine Zeta-Jones? What is this? What is this? An IPO? Hold on, let me see. No. Zeta Global Holdings. AI-powered cloud platform for consumer intelligence and marketing automation. I mean, it's doing well. It's doing well. It's kind of flat on the year, though. I mean, it's up a little bit. Actually, no, it's not flat. But it's not up like a lot of other AI stocks, like Palantir is a good example of this. You know, in the year, it opened up at about 18. It's at 24. So it's still a good gain, I guess. All things considered. Again, I'm trying to see if these rate cut odds change after this week labor report. Google's still going higher here. Yeah, we're at over 18% chance of a cut now. It was at 16 prior to this. We're at over 18 now. So data's fundamentals. They don't look bad, to be honest. How new is this company? This is a... I gotta remember it's 2026 now. This is a 5-year-old public company, so it's not the oldest, and its margins are getting better. Here's EPS margins quarterly since it went public. It's pretty solid. You can see the growth potential here is increasing as well for Zeta. I'm not telling you to buy it, not an investment professional. But yeah, its fundamentals are getting better. We can look at revenue as well if you want. Yeah, look at the revenue. So, yeah, I mean, good margins, good revenue. Probably go profitable sometime soon. So, I don't hate it, to be honest. I think it's interesting, but not an investment professional. Don't copy me, guys. SPY about to break all-time high in pre-market. SPY all-time high is what, 690s? 692.30s is what I see. It doesn't technically register all-time highs until the market open, though, I'm pretty sure. Why? We still got 30 minutes. Yeah, so U.S. Energy Secretary Wright says the oil Venezuela will turn over to the U.S. will be from storage. He said his biggest concern is the U.S. electric grid and the availability of electricity. I'm in Oracle right now. Let's see what it does. I'm curious. Opened the day much more red. It's now back to green. Slightly green. Very slightly green. But technically green nonetheless. Yeah, we got 30 minutes into the opening bell. We'll trade it live. We got the Jolts report going live at 10. So. Okay, Google is creeping up. Again, if we take a look at the S&P, might break 7,000. It's getting very close. Here's the SPY. SPY's pretty close to highs as well, but it won't register until the open. The fake out, we have historical day today. Greenland. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen either. Eurozone is going to de-invest. Market's looking like sales are coming. I think we might tap, like, move up to tap 7,000 and then turn back down is what I think, like a plausible. Again, I'm not an investment professional. I think that's like a plausible story of the day is we go up to test 7,000 and then we turn. Leading into like tomorrow's jobless claims report as well as Friday's unemployment report. I think all that stuff could happen. We'll see. You don't like my story, Tiny Wolf? That hurts right here. I think it was the greatest story of all time. Top 3 for sure. Bitcoin is going much lower very, very soon. Maybe. I don't know. Bitcoin's been really flat for a long time. Get bull or bear, guys. Let me know. Put bull or bear in chat. See what people think will actually happen today. Again, 68% think the S&P is going to break 7,000 this week. That's a bullish story. We'll see. I've mostly been long today, but the Nasdaq's starting to dip down as we speak here. Sanctioned ship got a new name and a new flag. The ship, formerly known as Bella 1, is now the Marinera and flagged to Russia, shipping databases show. So the ship, formerly known as Bella 1. I don't think I'm going to call it the new name. I think I'm just going to call it the ship formerly known as Bella 1. Alaska Airlines is apparently ordering 110 Boeing airplanes, which is the largest fleet order in airline history. It includes 105 737 MAX 10 aircrafts and 5 787-10 wide bodies. Again, Hegseth says the blockade of Venezuelan oil in effect anywhere in the world. You miss your jiu-jitsu stories? I haven't been training, man. I'm trying to let myself heal before I go back. I've gone back a couple times. But every time I go back, my foot hurts or my knee. My knee doesn't really hurt, but my foot hurts a little bit. And so I'm just trying to give it a little bit more time. Next week, maybe. I'll be back. I've flow rolled and stuff a couple times, though. And I felt okay. Nothing hurts extremely bad. Skeptical bull. Bear strong today. Short, bear, then bull. Short. Bitcoin falling down here. Look, under 92,000. We broke under 92K. We're now dipping down pretty quickly for Bitcoin. Again, Forex reserves in the European Central Bank. They said Forex reserves rose by 1.9 euros, 1.9 billion euros to 331.2 billion euros. All right, guys, we got 25 minutes left until the opening bell. And again, we got Jolts going live at 10. Yeah, I trade the New York session. I trade pre-market, but I trade the New York session for sure. And silver back down to 76. I mean, it obviously could. It's at 77 now. It's only down here is 76. So, I mean, it certainly could. Will it is a different story. And I don't know. Yeah, Boeing had the biggest order in aircraft history just now. That's why it's popping up. So if you look at Boeing, it's at 234s on that news. So yeah, the news on Boeing. Boeing and Alaska Airlines announces the largest airplane order in airline history. Alaska Airlines ordered 105 737-10s and an option for 35 additional 737-10 aircrafts within the same time frame. The order included 245 aircraft. Oh, sorry, I'm talking to myself here. Bitcoin dropping. Boeing is up. NASDAQ is breaking down under the 200 exponential. Again, U.S. Defense Secretary said the blockade of sanctioned Venezuelan oil remains in full effect everywhere in the world. But Boeing, again, had the largest aircraft order ever. Yeah, I'm reading the chat now. I don't know what the ship is called. I'm going to call it the ship formerly known as the Bella 1. In honor of Prince, you know. Rest in peace. And here's silver, 76.60s. We're at 91.6s right now on Bitcoin. 91.6s. All right, so we're still trying to hold here. Okay. Oh no, I've got coffee. Yeah, sorry. I've been streaming for like yeah, so look, this is it is. It was cold this morning when I woke up. No, we're streaming right now. Oh, like 50. These are all the people in the stream. Yeah. Here, hold on. Yeah, like with Venezuelan oil output, higher output means cheaper prices for oil. So like, since we're going to be getting a lot of oil from Venezuela now, apparently, you can kind of see the price of oil dip a lot this morning. And then when the news came out over the weekend here and here, like oil's mostly down from it. It's not as down as a lot of people thought it would. A lot of people thought oil would be like drastically down from increased supply, but there's still a lot of unknowns going on there in regards to like Venezuela. Silver's been making big moves the last week, but it's kind of pulling back today. So like gold and silver are at crazy levels. This is silver this year. It's gone from 30 to 80 this year in the last like 12 months. And then Bitcoin is another one we cover. For Bitcoin is like, it's dipping down today, but it's up over the last few days, but it's still not necessarily good. Bitcoin was at like 130s. Yeah, just watch Savannah. She's stepping over all my cords is the thing, and so she could unplug the computer. That's what I do. Hey, baby. That's a simple. She's. No, she's not. No, she's not. We could never sell Savannah.
One.
Yeah, $1 trillion. I'd sell her for $1 trillion.
I'd sell her for probably like 1 mil.
A mil? Yeah,
Okay.
that's probably true.
Yeah.
All right. See.
Um,
Yeah, for $1 trillion, she's getting sold. That's all I'm saying. You know. No, that's not. That wasn't Carol. That's my sister-in-law. All right, so yeah, this is Carol. Carol's here. That's Rosie. This is me without a beard, if you guys are curious. Yeah, Savannah gets separation anxiety. And so Savannah, if Markel's not around, she's like panicking and freaking out. Yeah. All right, guys. Opening bell's coming soon. 18 minutes until the opening bell. I got my crawfish mug today. Time to do another poll here. 66% of people think the S&P is going to break 7,000. I think the odds have changed a little bit, though, since we started to get some dips. Yeah, silver, it's dipping down now. I don't know. The question is, does silver break all-time highs? I don't know. Chinese officials are reviewing Meta's $2 billion acquisition of AI startups in Manus. JP Morgan get money from the Fed last week. Earnings after market. Drinking crawfish juice. Honestly, I'm kind of a spice wimp. Like, I love spices. I love crawfish. But I can't really handle them like that, you know? Like, my daughter is like everything she eats is spicy. Like, literally everything she eats is spicy, you know? One time she was eating ramen, and I tried to act like I was cool, and I was like, hey, let me have some of that. And she's like, no, it's spicy. You're not going to like it. And, I acted all tough. I was like, nah, I can handle this. And I took a bite of it. I couldn't handle it. I just couldn't handle it. I'm a spice wimp. Don't judge me too much, guys. I'm from Louisiana. All right, I love spicy food. I got too much of that English blood in me, you know, I think. All right, so Energy Secretary Wright says the U.S. government wants to fill the SPR. They want to fill the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Mexican president came out saying her country is not sending more oil to Venezuela than it has historically. You know, honestly, I just saw a documentary about this, but the former 3 Mile Island nuclear plant apparently is in process of restarting in about 18 months. I just saw a documentary like this. I think it was on Netflix about 3 Mile Island. Wright also says the Palisades nuclear plant may come on later this month. Oh, I actually love Indian food, but I can't eat it often because of that. Like, I love Indian food. Indian food's great. Some of the best food in the world, but yeah, 200 exponential, guys. I'm telling you, I've been a broken record about the 200 EMA for a long time. 1 minute chart specifically. For whatever reason, I think algorithms traded on a 1 minute chart. But look, 200 exponential, 200 exponential, 200 exponential, 200 exponential, 200 exponential. And so my system's really easy. I look at whole dollar milestone levels, quarter dollar milestone levels, isolated levels, and the 200 exponential. Also look at the volume weighted average price as well. And if I can get both of them around the same spot, it's even better. But yeah, it's pretty simple. Yeah, Jolt's job report goes live in 43 minutes or so. 43 minutes. I'll put a timer up for this, actually. I just thought about it. But the Jolt's job report does go live in about 43 minutes. So this is when Jolt's coming out. We also have ISM manufacturing PMI data. So we have ISM data. We have Jolts. Yeah, we got Jolts live. Sorry, I'm getting the stream ready for the Jolts report. All right. Yeah, so the Jolts report is expected. The data today for Jolts openings, and again, there's a slight difference between like the Jolts report and the ADP report. The ADP report is essentially payrolls, private payrolls specifically. The Jolts job opening report is looking at hiring. Like basically, our businesses hiring, our jobs and businesses expanding. And that's what the Jolts job openings report. A lot of people hear the name and they think it has to do with like layoffs or unemployment, and it doesn't. It has to do with expansion and hiring. So higher Jolts means more hiring is going on. Lower Jolts means less hiring is going on. Wright also said the government is filling the SPR, but not at the pace he would like. U.S. government wants to fill the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. All right, guys, S&P. Again, will the S&P break 7,000? We did a poll. Over 600 votes, 66% say yes. It does. 34% say no. I took a 3-year break. Wasn't expecting you to see still going strong on the live stream. Yeah, man, listen. I'll put it this way. I mean, I've made my money doing other things. But I enjoy doing this, to be honest. And I can make more than a lot of people talking about finance for 3 hours a day, you know. And so it's a beautiful thing. It's a blessing for sure. I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for watching the stream. Again, I know we got a lot of lurkers out there that don't comment. That's okay. You can listen to the stream and not comment. I'm talking to you, you know. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. No, I could never trade a 15-second chart. There's too much noise. 1-minute chart, there's a lot of noise. 15-second chart, there's too much noise. You really like us? Y'all are my internet friends here, you know. Y'all don't actually exist. I've said this before. If I was in front of 1,000 real people, dude, I'd be stuttering. I'd be talking fast. I mean, I already talk fast, but it'd be chaos. I wouldn't be able to get it done, I don't think. But again, y'all are on the internet. Y'all aren't real, you know. I can't see you guys, so. Hey, what's up, Sarge? Yeah, all good. I get not being able to do 2 things at once. I mean, I'm the top 3 at multitasking out here, but we'll see what happens. The NASDAQ is honestly pretty slow in range right now. Here's the NASDAQ. We're kind of just flat. I mean, we got a little bit of an upward trend here. Silver's breaking down, so is Bitcoin. Bitcoin now under 92,000. Stopped at about 91.5s or maybe 90,000 even. So I'm curious to see where Bitcoin goes. The S&P is very close to 7,000. This is 7K on the S&P. You promise to answer everything? No, I can't do that. I try, but yeah. We're just a figment of your imagination. Honestly, you know what had me kind of like in my head about things? Remember I told you guys, somebody was like, hey John, where's Bitcoin going to close the week? And I think I said 89,500, and then it closed like $10 away from 89.5 thousand. It genuinely had me thinking, y'all, like, this is all a simulation, you know? That's right, figment of my imagination. Burn bot. Biggest question, will there be a secret Stranger Things episode 9 today? No. I hope there was. I wish there was. I would prefer that versus the ending we got. But I don't think it's happening today, unfortunately. I think people are just mad it's over and they're speculating. All right, guys, we got 6 minutes left. NASDAQ is falling down here. We're at 25.7s. Again, we got Jolts report in about 30 minutes. I think we have, let me see. We have factory orders going live at 10 a.m. as well. We got factory orders, Jolts job report, ISM non-manufacturing or services, PMI is what non-manufacturing is. So that goes live at 10 o'clock. So we'll probably see some volatility at 10 a.m. to be honest, in 35 minutes. We'll see what the opening bell brings, but we'll probably see at least a little bit of volatility. Hey, what's up, Tiny? Morning. I'm just glad we finally have data again, man. I don't know what to do with myself during these quiet weeks where the last 2 weeks we haven't had anything. We had holidays and no data. NASDAQ is chopping sideways a little bit today. And again, this might be ahead of the labor report we get. We get a labor report on Friday, the big official labor report we get on Friday. So we do have that going live Friday, 8:30. I hope it's not anytime soon, Drop. I don't want to see a shutdown anytime soon. We'll see what we get, but I don't. Again, we did get a labor report earlier today. The report was this right here. Let me show you guys. So this was the report. The data showed 41,000 jobs. Look at the NASDAQ pop here. Whoa, hold on. Let me see if... Yeah, so Jolts is expected today. I'm gonna try this other timer. Jolts is expected at 7.61 million. 7.61 million. Where did this go? Let me see what the time. What do we have? We have 32.5 minutes. What if I do this right here, guys? I like this timer. Again, here's the last ADP report. 41,000 jobs. They expected about 50,000. We did see bounce backs again in small businesses. Go to right here. 32 minutes, guys, until Jolts. The opening bell is in again about 2 minutes here. GameStop's up. Oracle's actually rebounding nicely here. Okay, so Russia, and I don't know if this is good for just geopolitical harmony, but Russia now is claiming that the tanker, again, I'm not going to call it the Marinera, it's the tanker formerly known as Bella 1, is quote-unquote our vessel. Russia's foreign ministry said it was concerned about the situation surrounding the Russian oil tanker formerly known as Bella 1. The ministry noted that a U.S. Coast Guard ship had been tracking the vessel for several days despite it being roughly 4,000 kilometers from the coast of U.S. Maritime tracking sites showed the tanker traveling between Scotland and Iceland, a location confirmed by U.S. officials. And so again, U.S. has seized 2 Venezuela-linked oil tankers today. One is the Sophia. The other one is the one formerly known as Bella 1. No injuries reported or anything like that, but we'll see what happens. NASDAQ down to 25.8, 25.78. We got the opening bell in about a minute here. What's up, Christopher? What's up, Corey? Yeah, it's probably the market on open. All right, guys, here's the opening bell. Again, NASDAQ's pretty flat. Look at Oracle, guys. Oracle had to have some news that recently came out. I mean, I'm in Oracle. I'm glad it's popping up. But look at Oracle. 195s right now for Oracle. Wow. Look at Oracle rip here. Some type of news just happened for Oracle. There's the opening bell, guys. Again, hit the live button if it's a little delayed. Hit the live button, put it in 2x speed. You'll catch up. All right, so there's the opening bell. We'll see what we get. The NASDAQ is ripping up here. I'm going to watch the S&P 500. You know, it got up to 92s. I'm going to let it settle out a little bit first. Silver's on the top screen right here. It's at 76.90s for silver, 76.90s. All right, now we're turning back down a little bit here. We got up to 92s on the S&P. Bitcoin's back down to 91.5s. Here's the NASDAQ turned down here. Oracle pulled back a little bit after the opening bell. We do see NVIDIA right now dipping all the way down to 186s for NVIDIA. This is helping drag the market down a little bit. I got to wait a couple minutes and let this play out first, though. Should I put this high? Is this good where it is, or should I make this larger in terms of jolts? Let me get rid of this timer. Maybe we can put it over here in the corner. And also maybe change the background if I need to. MicroStrategy ripping. Bitcoin down at under 91.5. So Nasdaq's starting to bounce. Nvidia's starting to pop back up a little bit. If we take a look at silver, silver just rejected at 77. Let's see if it gets back up there. But Oracle's turned all the way and went red on the day. Nvidia is still technically green, but it's not much. Yeah, I'll stick it right here. I think this is probably a good spot for it. All right, Nasdaq's starting to climb higher here. Here's the S&P. S&P is still low. Nasdaq is over 25,800s here. I'll buy a dip down to 25,800s maybe if we get it. What time is it? We still need to wait just a little while longer. All right, we'll try it. A bit close to the opening bell to trade, but we'll take 4 contracts here. Oh, another piece off there. There we go. Go. Let's take this off here. So now we're nicely green on the day now. Tap the top and now we're out. All right, guys, NASDAQ is pumping up here. We still have 24 minutes until the Jolts report goes live. 24 minutes. Again, the Fed rate odds since the ADP report earlier this morning, they're back down to 17%. If Jolts is really weak, Powell might cut. I don't think so. It'd have to be really weak, and we'd also have to see like continuations of that trend and like the official labor report that we get on Friday. We'd have to see continuations of that trend in inflation data. Like we'd have to get low inflation next week and really weak labor reports to. And even still, I don't know if we're going to cut rates. I think they'll probably wait until the end, not the second half of this year, but maybe. Even if we look at the odds for like a March cut, it's still over 50% chance that we don't cut. And then even in April, it's about split. June is when they finally start pivoting down, and maybe we'll get one more cut by June. But yeah, I don't think it's going to change. John, thank you for posting important data. Yeah, all good. All right, so we're tapping 825s here. S&P's up to about $10 away, but we're starting to see a fairly large pullback now. Morgan Stanley files for spot ETH ETF. Yeah, Jolts is expected at 7.6 million. Look at that level right there. Should have bought it maybe, but all right. Data gurus. I'm definitely a data guru. You know, I would say I'm top 3 greatest gurus for data in the world right now. Oracle still red on the day. Again, NASDAQ bounced right there at 25.8. Silver pulling back a little bit still, under 77s. Bitcoin went up a little bit, back down to 91.5s. Let's see if it bounces at 91.5s. Google, pretty strong open, up to almost 320 right now for Google. Again, I should have bought this 800 level. I had it on my chart. You guys can see it. It's the orange line. But here's AMD. Get AMD down big. Nvidia's not doing great either, but it's not super red like it was at to start the opening bell. Man, my dogs are trying to eat Savannah. Apparently, I won't let it happen. But my dogs are like monsters to Savannah. I like Savannah though. Savannah's cool. All right, guys, we bounced right at 25.8s. 25.8s. Yeah, Google's flying up. Look, here's Google right here. Should have bought that 800 dip, and now I'm just kind of sitting on my hands waiting. Yeah, we got 20 minutes. You guys think Jolts will come in higher or lower than expected? We'll do a poll. Almost 70% of people thought the S&P is going to break 7,000 this week. Does today's Jolts report show stronger or weaker job opening? All right, there's the poll. You can vote on that poll now. Weaker. Most people think weaker than expected. It's expected at 7.61 million. The last one showed up at 7.67 million. Yeah, that 800 level. Hindsight's 2020. But again, you can kind of see like psychological levels work. Sometimes simplicity is key. Like traders like to make it all overly complicated. Like I look at some traders' charts and I'm not judging you. All right, like look, every trader's different. Maybe y'all figure stuff out that I don't or whatever. But I look at some people's charts and they're just like, you know what I mean? And it's like, dude, how do you even look at that? I get stressed even just thinking about that. You know, I like to use simplicity. And I think when you think about why technical analysis works, look at the NASDAQ break over highs. Bitcoin popping back up to 92,000. If you think about why technical analysis works, it's self-fulfilling. So like what works is obvious. Making it too complicated is going to make less fulfillment in those patterns, in my opinion, you know? And I think that's what a lot of people get wrong about it. They try to make it overly complicated so they look smart or whatever, but most of the time simplicity wins. All right, guys, NASDAQ up here. We're at 25,860. Google at 320s. Bitcoin at 92,000. Yeah, I mean, my mic's gonna cut out. We have it. There's a I can't remember what it's called. There's a I can't think of what it's called. A suppressor in the mic. Basically, my dogs are too loud. I don't want you guys to hear my dogs barking. Look at Google though, guys. Google 321s right now. Screenshot of the blue scribble. Gonna sell it on eBay as modern art. It is art, bro. Again, Europe bond sales top 57 billion. Eli Lilly is nearing a deal for biotech Venti X for $14 a share. Again, critical metals are now at their highest since October, last up 15%. Still waiting for some of this data here. I don't think we have any 945 data, but we do have ISM services at 10, Jolts job openings for November at 10, factory orders for October at 10, and more. So I'm almost. $16 minutes. I come for the dogs barking. I think they know that. Cal, they're like, you know what? It's our time. We gotta make the show for Cal. Google up to 321s. All right, guys. So we got an upward trend so far. I'm also watching the S&P 500 here. I want to see if it's at $5 away from 7,000 for the S&P. It's about 5,000 away. Bitcoin rejected where, guys? At 92,000. This blue level. 7,000 of shares right here for the S&P. So you can see how close we are to hitting that at the opening bell. And so far, the open bull thesis was correct. We have pushed up. Nvidia also rebounding a little bit here. But I do want to see if we break 7,000. We're very close. We're $5 away from that now. Halfway there. Eli Lilly news deal. Yeah, I saw that one. About Eli Lilly. It is expected at 7.61 million for Jolts. Previous of the previous one showed up at 7.67 million. So even if we show up as expected, we're still down from the previous one. Yeah, non-manufacturing or services PMI for ISM data, PMI data is expected at 52.2. Well, 52.2. Previously, that was 52.6. So they're both expected to decrease. Big numbers. No. Oh, don't start clap. Bitcoin trying to break higher. Yeah, Bitcoin over 92,000 I think is the next spot here. NASDAQ, or the S&P is very close to 7K. Look at it. Look at the S&P, very close to 7,000. $2 away from 7,000. NASDAQ just broke highs. We're getting close. We're almost at 7,000 for the S&P. Almost there. NASDAQ broke highs. Again, 7,000 on the S&P 500 is right here. Very close to 7,000. if we tap it. We're very close. S&P 7,000 is right here. This chart right here. We're close. Oracle almost green on the day. I think it actually is green. Google's helping this. It's at 322s right now for Google. 12 minutes. Nice salmon colored t-shirt. Not really salmon. It's a Houston Rockets t-shirt. What it is. So I wouldn't say it's salmon. I think it's just dark in here. All right, guys. Let's see if the S&P makes that pop up. If you remember, like what I thought would happen is that the S&P would make a move to test 7,000 at the open, which it has. And then after maybe testing it, it might come back down. We'll see though. All right, guys. And if the Jolts report comes in optimistic for markets, that might make us tap 7,000 right there. We'll see. All right, look at the NASDAQ holding here. NASDAQ holding at 850s right here. 26,000's within a range too. 26K is right here on the NASDAQ. So 26,000 is pretty close, honestly. 96s for the S&P. We're very close to 7. 10 minutes until Jolts. Did I say salmon or salmon? Oh well. Yeah, 10 minutes. Jolts report again. Expected at 7.61 million. We have 10 minutes left. Bitcoin rejected 92,000 again. S&P pulling back a little bit here. Who are the Houston Rockets? Oh, they're the greatest ping pong team on this side of the Mississippi. All right, guys. Oracle, slightly green. NASDAQ at 860s. All right, Nvidia still at 188s. Here we go, guys. 9 minutes. Yeah, Houston Rockets supreme. That's right. You know. All right, guys. We're at 850s right now. Again, I want to see if the S&P can break 7,000. We tested 7. We got up to basically 699.99, and then now we're pulling back a little bit. If Jolts report comes in favorable along with ISM services data, maybe we'll get some good movements. The thing about ISM services is that ISM services is for December, so it's less lagging than the Jolts report, which is for November. So the Jolts report is for November here. ISM services is for December, so it's less lagging. So we'll look at how much the market reacts to all of this. But again, Jolts expected at 7.61 million. ISM services expected at 52.2. Previous was 52.6. So here we go. 8 minutes. All right, guys. So S&P could not break 7,000. Got very, very close to it, though. Within a couple dollars away on the E-mini futures contract for the S&P. Silver's still pushing up, now over $77. NASDAQ is dipping, but it's been green since the opening bell. 7 minutes. Shorts for the Q and SPY ETF, good or bad? I mean, I appreciate the donation, brother. I really do. Thank you so much. NVIDIA push it up right now. It's hard to tell ahead of this Jolts report and ahead of this ISM services report. Nobody knows. We can make a guess. You got a 50% chance of being right. I'm not going to tell you good or bad. I'm not an investment professional. I have no idea. I do see Oracle rebounding. I see NVIDIA rebounding right now. And so this might pull the S&P and the NASDAQ up. But regarding Jolts and the data that releases at 10 o'clock, it's hard to tell whether up or down is good or bad. And I wouldn't ask some random streamer anyway. Short term, nobody freaking knows where we're going to go. We can make bets. And, you know, of course, the people that make that 50-50 shot right, they're going to act like they're geniuses. And the people that get it wrong are just going to probably not talk about it. But nobody knows. I appreciate the donation, though. Thank you. Chat, let me know what you guys think. Good or bad? Shorts on the Q and the SPY. I guess it depends on the time frame. I'm not really a big believer in long-term shorts on the healthiest assets in the world. But, you know, do what you do. All right, guys. 6 minutes. NVIDIA testing the highs of the day at 89.20s right now for NVIDIA. Yeah, NVIDIA is breaking highs of the day and higher pre-market right now. Up to 89.20s. Bitcoin's still trying to get over 80 or 92,000. A retracement coming, maybe. Again, it depends on the data here. I think market kind of wants rate cuts. And I think we saw this especially with the ADP report where it was weaker, but markets reacted positively. Now, there could be two different stories there. Markets could be reacting positively because they want rate cuts and weaker jobs numbers are, you know, more beneficial for rate cuts. Or they could be looking at it the other way, which is the last one was negative 32,000. And so even though we were under the expected 50 or 49,000 expectation, we were still over the previous negative 32,000 number. And so that's stronger jobs and optimism. I'm not sure which one it is. Markets could also be just digesting a greater supply of oil coming from Venezuela, you know, ahead of this stuff. So it's hard to really figure out what the story is there. We just got to kind of wait and see regarding these reports. We have 4.5 minutes left. Make sure you hit the live button next to the play button, put it in 2x speed. I appreciate it. Yeah, Google's up a lot this morning. That's definitely helping. NASDAQ is testing. NVIDIA is pumping up. Silver's rebounding. Bitcoin at 92,000 as we speak. Right below me here. Here's Bitcoin at 92,000. All right, guys. We got 4 minutes left. Definitely top 3 worst ever. V 100%. Yeah. Who's the top 2 over me, though? Again, NVIDIA is still breaking highs at 190 right now for NVIDIA at 190. Here we go. We got 3.5 minutes. Three and a half minutes. Again, hit the live button next to the play button. Oracle's green, NVIDIA's and Google are helping markets. Here's NVIDIA right here. NVIDIA at 190 right now, which is a big psychological level for NVIDIA as well. You could argue that 190 is going to reject us down here. I don't know. Again, about 3 minutes left. Here we go. Give me your last minute predictions for the Jolts report. You can vote on the poll. 54% think the Jolts report is going to show weak numbers. 46% think we're going to show strong numbers for Jolts. Again, we also have December ISM services or non-manufacturing purchasing managers index. Remember, with PMI, over 50 is an expansion in services. Below 50 is a contraction. They are expecting an expansion in services, though they are expecting Weaker than last time, but still an expanding services sector at 52.2 versus 52.6. And so again, we'll see what happens. Nvidia rejected 190 initially here. We'll see if it retests it. But getting very close. Yeah, make sure you hit the live button next to the play button. Yeah, we do have non-farm payrolls coming out on Friday. 2 minutes exactly left, though. But again, the Jolts report's about to go live. Jolts Schmaltz, 100% weaker numbers. I don't think it's ever that predictable, you know, with economic reports. You know, the only one I've consistently gotten right is like CPI inflation. And I don't even know how I got that right. It's mostly just straight up guesses. All right, guys, a minute and a half. Again, make sure you hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you put it in 2x speed to catch up to the stream. We appreciate it. All right, guys, so we had the ADP report. It showed up a little bit weaker than expected, but still stronger than last time with 1 minute left until this report drops. We're also going to watch yields. And yields have been interesting. They're at about 4.14%, kind of flat since I first looked at them this morning at 3 a.m. But they did initially drop on a little bit weaker than expected ADP report. We now have less than a minute here, less than a minute. And you're trading guesses make messes. I like that. I like that. I'm going to steal that from you. Good report, no cut, market tanks. Bad report, recession, market tanks. You could also see the opposite. You say good report, strong labor, market goes up. Bad report, higher likelihood of rate cuts and stimulation, market goes up. So I don't know if it's that easy. Maybe you're right, though. Maybe you're right. All right, here we go. We got 25 seconds left. 25 seconds. Yeah, this timer's a little bit early, but we got 15 seconds. 15 seconds. Again, hit the live button next to the play button. We'll see what we get today. We got Jolts, ISM manufacturing, and factory orders going live. On ISM services, I mean. All right, so here we go. And 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. And here's the report. Okay, guys, so ISM came in at Jolts came in at 7.146 million. 7.146 million, weaker than expected. 7.146 million. Versus an expected 7.61 million expected. ISM services came in stronger than expected at 54.4 versus 52.2 data. So this was weaker than expected jobs numbers. Weaker than expected jobs numbers. Again, 7.146 million versus 7.61 million expected. Weaker than expected Jolts numbers. Stronger than expected services. Again, weaker than expected job numbers. Stronger than expected services. 7.146 million versus 7.61 million expected. I will put this data on screen now. But again, weaker Jolts than expected. Weaker Jolts. Again, weaker Jolts. We'll put this data up on screen now. And yeah, that's the report right there. You can see it on screen. Again, 7.146 million. Versus 7.61 million expected. Now on screen, market has reacted negatively to this report on weaker Jolts numbers than expected. Again, we did have a negative reaction to this in markets, and it was weaker than expected here. So again, the S&P going down to 6980s. 6980s. Nvidia falling down after breaking highs this morning, highs of the day. Factory orders did show up. At negative 1.3% versus negative 1.2% expected. But, you know, again, 55.4 versus 52.3 expected for ISM services data. Yeah, again, look at the NASDAQ turn. Look at the S&P turn. Bitcoin is turned down a little bit, although Bitcoin might react favorably to this. I'm curious to see what yields are going to do. Yields are actually a little bit higher on this report. 1.57, so yields have spiked. Probably stronger services. Again, look, services data, the ISM services is for December. This was stronger than expected today. If it came in at 54.4 versus 52.3 expected. I'll put this data up in the chat right now. So it actually showed up stronger than expected. It's more recent data as well. That's probably why yields are spiking. And so again, we'll see what happens, but that's probably why yields are spiking now. That's probably why everything else is turning down. Is the services data was strong. Jolts job quits showed up at 3.16 versus 2.9 million. So again, here's the job quits numbers for Jolts as well. They were higher than expected. So again, let's take a look deeper at these numbers here. The number of job openings was little changed at 7.1 million in November. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics covered the month. Hires were little changed. Total separations were unchanged at 5.1. Within separations, both quits were 3.2 million and layoffs and discharges 1.7 were little changed. So yeah, 7.1 million in November, down by 885,000 over the year. And this is essentially hirings. The job openings rate at 4.3% changed a little over the month. The number of job openings decreased in accommodation and food and services, negative 148,000. Transportation, warehousing, and utilities were down 108,000. In wholesale trade were down 63,000. Job openings increased in construction at 90,000 plus. 5.1 million hirings, 3.2%. Number of hires decreased in state and local government, excluding education. So yeah. So Jolts came in weaker than expected. For jobs, weaker than expected for jobs. Now, again, this is ahead of the big report that we get Friday. This is ahead of the big report that we get Friday. So we'll see what happens here. And again, we will be covering this live. You see how quickly we cover this when the data comes out. We cover it fast. So subscribe, hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. Tomorrow we have jobless claims, unemployment filings going live. So we do have jobless claims, unemployment going live at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow morning. So jobless claims, unemployment going live 8:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. We do have the NFP payroll report, unemployment report on Friday. Again, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time Friday. But weaker Jolts numbers, increased in quits as well relative to expectations, but a stronger services sector at 55.4 versus 52.2 as well. So that is the reports for today. Again, yields are higher. Initially, what I originally saw was yields were higher on this report. So if we look at like yields right now, let me find it. Hold on. Curious to see what the Fed Watch tool looks like as well here. 17.2% right now for this. Yields, again, 4.15. They are spiking a little bit on this report on stronger services data. Again, if you want to help support the channel, check out my x.com at Beginner Trades, Check out Top Step, another great way to help support the channel. No PDT rule on futures. Great way to learn. Most day traders lose money. And so it's just a great way to learn how to trade when most day traders lose money. Limits your risk. Most day traders lose. I can't guarantee anything. You want to confirm it all. They're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased. But genuinely useful for traders. You can check it out right here. I'll put the link up in chat. Real quick, before we close the stream down, I'm going to end this poll. I'm going to say, are you bullish or bearish? Considering today's lower than expected Jolts job report. Well, I'm curious to see what these numbers are, and we'll wait a couple minutes to see what these poll numbers show up as. But let me know what you guys think. Yeah, Jolts number showed up at 7.14 versus 7.6 million expected here. All right, so looking at the poll numbers initially. I'm looking at the poll numbers initially. Nasdaq's starting to head back up, though. I want to see if the S&P, and this is mostly driven by what it looks like to me is Nvidia and Google going higher here. The S&P still $10 away from 7,000. I'm curious to see what it does today. All right, guys. And then tomorrow we got more jobs data, jobless claims, unemployment filings. Nvidia up to 191s almost here. Nasdaq's pushing higher, and the S&P is trying to as well here. So, see what we get. All right, so I wanted to stick around for just a second to see what the poll looked like here. That is printing bullish. Poll is at 57% are bullish on this report. 42% are bearish. All right, guys. So again, as soon as we close this stream, it's going to bring you to our other one. Again, check out Top Step if you want to help support the channel. There's no PDT on futures. You can day trade the S&P, Nasdaq, Dow, Russell, gold, commodities. Great way to learn. Most day traders lose. Link is pinned at the top of the chat. They're a sponsor of mine. I'm in Nike already. I bought Nike a few days ago. My average price in Nike is 57 something. And it's back down. And luckily, we took some profit ahead of the opening bell today because it dipped a lot at the open. But yeah, we'll see what we get, guys. We'll see what we get. So far, my thesis was right. I thought we would go up to test 7,000 on the S&P to start the opening bell, and then we turn after testing it. So we tested it. We didn't quite break it. We got within like $1.75 away from it, and then we dipped back down. We'll see what the rest of the day brings. Not an investment professional. Love to everybody here. I appreciate the love. Thanks so much. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow, bright and early. Later, chat.